you know, it was at 2 o'clock. It was actually on the schedule for 2 o'clock. But, you know, I don't know. So she has me coming next week on Monday. So I don't know.
1 o'clock, people are leaving lunch. They're still eating lunch.
I'm going to have to ask her about that. I don't know. I don't know if she really knows what she's doing.
Is it Heather?
But, you know, she didn't have time.
would you join me as we light the chalice? The words are in your order of service. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning, in celebration of the life we share together. God forbid.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Beth Reinders, and I'm a member of your board. It's wonderful that we can all escape the heat outside and be here together in the warmth and kindness of this place. So we welcome all you very cool people. And I'd also like to extend a welcome to anybody who is visiting us for the first or second time. It's our custom that we ask you, if you're willing and able, to stand, give us your name, and tell us where you're from, because the odds are there will be somebody else here today that is from that same place. So if there is anybody that is on this side of the sanctuary, that's a first or second time visitor, would you be willing to stand and let us know who you are?
My name is Zach. This is my wife Jessie and our daughter Adira. We're actually from Alabama, out towards Statesboro. We're looking around for a Unitarian church, looking for somewhere inclusive to kind of give context to the whole deal. And have that sense of community and kind of be a part of something, because I think we both grew up in churches. We did want that kind of sense of community, but didn't want to necessarily put that label directly on it early on. But we're excited to be here, and hope to see you guys in church.
Welcome, and you've made a very good selection. Is there anybody in the center here who's visiting us first or second time?
This is my family, my daughter Kate, and my granddaughters Eliza and Georgia.
Nice to have you here. And anybody on this side who is first or second time visitor? No, you've been here before. It's great to have all of you here with us. We want to welcome you. Thank you for joining us today. And we have a few announcements to begin with. First of all, social justice, just as a reminder, we'll be having a very quick meeting right after the service in the Clara Barton room. And they also have a new set of postcards going out, which this time have to be returned to Jackie or Rosemary. There's an important clarification about movie night. It's going to be at 6 o'clock this coming Tuesday, July the 2nd. Once again, that's July the 2nd. Yes, we will gather on July the 2nd. The film selection this time is The Way, featuring Martin Sheen, and I think there'll be some good talk about that. So please sign up in the lobby today if you're going to join us, or email Lynn or me to let us know how many tables we need to set up. And just a reminder, we will gather on Tuesday, July the 2nd. Also in the lobby today, you're going to find flyers and a sign-up sheet for the congregational trip that we've planned tentatively for November 2nd to the African American Museum in Charleston. We need a minimum of 35 people in order to book that trip, and we will need to know if we have that number by August the 1st. So if you're interested, take a flyer, check it out, and sign up. On July 30th at 3 o'clock, there will be a tarot and tea meetup here at the church. It will be an introduction to tarot and oracle card reading and an opportunity for tea and conversation. If you're interested, please RSVP to Ann Harrison, and you can reserve your spot. And Joanne, I think you had an announcement that you wanted to add?
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
This year, Music on Malfris had to cancel 4 concerts, but we still made $5,157. 543 attendees. Now, a lot of times I get thanked by the musicians or Charlie or Tat Job, and I may curate the series, but it's really the volunteers that do a lot of the work. David and Sarah helps a lot. Amy Hadsell, Scott Thompson, Gordon Stamler, Lynn Nordenberg, John Shepard, Linda LeBrere, Patricia Friedman, Cheryl McCarthy, occasionally Steve DeZigo, Sharon Green, Leslie Haas, Kat Duncan, Diane Valeri, Marietta Carr, and June and Mike Bartholomew. And if I forgot anybody, I'm very sorry. But as I've been losing my vision, I've had to step back, and everybody has been jumping in and taking over, and I get to show up. And then I get to take them home with me. But I just want to thank everybody for making this work. Make sure you take a schedule for next year.
Okay.
Thank you, Joanne. In addition to our lovely guests that we have today, we are so fortunate to have with us again Clint Tawes, our very special neighbor, and you may remember him from Mr. Rogers fame. He joins us in our commemoration of the culmination of Pride Month and to share our pride and our commitment to being a welcoming congregation. So it is with great pleasure that I invite you, Clint, to offer us your opening words.
Good morning. Good morning. On this final Sunday of Pride Month. I'm always a little sad when June comes to an end, in part because as a teacher, it means my summer break is half over, but also because I love Pride Month. I love this time of year when we celebrate the diversity, resilience, and contributions of the LGBTQ community and our allies. Thinking about the significance of Pride Month, I'm reminded of my journey toward embracing authenticity. The many people and experiences that affected this transformation are too numerous to account, but I would like to share the influence of one individual, Dr. Dennis Keyes, a now retired professor in the School of Education at the College of Charleston. When I began studying at the College of Charleston, I was still a closeted, ultra-conservative Pentecostal minister. And Dr. Keyes wasted no time shocking my evangelical sensibilities. On the first day of class, while writing notes on the board, Dr. Keyes made a joke about how his sexual orientation was no secret. Then he stopped writing, paused, turned to the class, and said, "Yes, I'm gay. If you have a problem with that, drop the class. You have no business working in education." I left class that day angry and offended, but deep down, I knew Dr. Keyes was right. Fast forward to the next semester, as I was leaving another class, also taught by Dr. Keyes, I mentioned to him that I had recently decided to turn in my ministerial credentials and resign from my church within the next few months. When he asked why, I responded in a way that surprised even myself. Maybe it was because I knew he was trustworthy, or maybe I was just too emotionally tired of keeping up the lie. But for whatever reason, I answered honestly. "Dr. Keyes," I said, "I'm as gay as you are." As I left class and made my way across campus, it hit me how incredibly inappropriate it was to speak the way I had to a professor. So I stopped and wrote an email apologizing to Dr. Keyes for my overly casual way of coming out to him. When I arrived at home and checked my email, I found a reply from Dr. Keyes. It read, "Calm down, kid. The only thing wrong with what you said is," and in all capital letters he wrote, "No one is as gay as me." At the time, I was bewildered that anyone could be so proud of being gay. But over time, inspired by the openness and authenticity of Dr. Keyes and others like him, I eventually came to love my authentic self with the same fervor. His pride and confidence were not just empowering, but transformative, helping me embrace who I truly am. This personal journey and the support from people like Dr. Keyes are emblematic of the broader struggle and triumph celebrated during LGBTQ Pride. Today, as we explore the power of Pride, we'll delve into the rich history, evolution, and ongoing importance of LGBTQ Pride. It's a story of courage, community, and the unwavering belief in the right to live authentically. Let us open our hearts and minds to the powerful narratives that have shaped this movement and continue to inspire us all. Come, let us worship together.
And if you will, turn to hymn number 170. We are a gentle, angry people.
the past several years, Unitarian Universalists all across the country, including us right here in this congregation, have been part of a process of discussing the values and the core theology of our faith. Thousands of UUs have put in countless hours of hard work discerning and debating the direction of Unitarian Universalism. And I am here today to report to you that last weekend, the voting delegates, one of which was our own Patricia Friedman, who's the chairperson of our finance committee, the delegates at the General Assembly, which is the annual business meeting of the Unitarian Universalist Association, which we call the UUA, these delegates voted very decisively to approve our new Statement of Values and Beliefs. Yay. This is a historic moment for Unitarian Universalism. The bylaws of the UUA have been changed numerous times over the years, but we haven't had a change like this really since the 1980s, when we adopted the 7 principles that so many of us know and love. And these principles and the sources from which they came will always be with us. We will continue to hold them and value them, but they have now become part of our history. The UUA president, Reverend Dr. Sophia Betancourt, says, "Our living tradition is moving forward. Rather than on principles and sources, our focus will now be on values that we share. And these values will help us to promote liberation, radical inclusion, and communal care within our church and across society." And the cool thing is that this decision was the result of a process that allowed everyone who wanted to be involved the opportunity to provide input. So because of this, the language of these shared values is stronger and more reflective of who we are. The whole procedure was actually like a real-life demonstration of how functioning democratic processes can be used to create change that is just and equitable. And this is something that we can be very proud of. Now, Reverend Clint Tawes will be speaking this morning, as he said, about the history and the ongoing importance of LGBTQIA+ pride. Because the power of pride is a hardcore UU value. As Unitarian Universalists, we are clear about the fact that people who identify as lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, questioning, intersex, asexual, agender, two-spirit, etc., are sacred, whole, and divine. And the fight for their rights is a fight for everyone's humanity. We believe that all people have worth, and that worth includes gender and sexuality. So we open our doors to people of all sexual orientations and gender identities because we value this diversity. We believe that all of who you are is sacred, and all of who you are is welcome here. Unitarian Universalism has a rich history of this pride, of which Reverend Tawes will speak, and the essence of pride can be found in every one of our new shared values. And these values are justice, equity, transformation, pluralism, interdependence, and generosity, all centered around the value of love. Because we know that love is more important than fear, and it is love that unlocks the human capacity for goodness. Love is the power that holds us all together. And may it be so. So at this time, I and the young people will now leave for the Sunday school.
This is a time in our service for sharing our abundance. If you have brought non-perishable food and you haven't done so already, please place it on the table in the back as you leave. We thank you for your contributions, and certainly the patrons of the 2 food pantries, thank you. Now, in terms of sustaining our work, we are going to pass the baskets so that we can fund this building and all of the wonderful work that we do in the community. If you are a first or second time visitor, please let the basket pass because your presence here is a gift to us. Thank you for your generosity. Now is the time that we briefly share our joys and concerns. Anybody who has significant personal joys or concerns are welcome to come up and share them with the group. The thought is that if you have a joy, it brings joy to all of us, and if you have a concern, we can help you share your burden. We ask that there be no political announcements, so if anybody has a joy or concern, please come up and take a stone from the basket, express your joy or concern, and put it in the cairn. Thank you.
Well, I have a joy and a concern. The joy is we have a new puppy who is 10 weeks old, and he's very skilled at peeing and pooping and barking and chasing and scratching, and he does all that simultaneously. And because he does that, we named him
Her.
I named her. Excuse me. Okay. Daisy. Right. So Daisy's in our life, really in our life. And so we're going to rush home after the service and see if our house is still standing. But she's about this big, 3.5 pounds.
What kind of dog?
We don't know.
We don't know. She was turned in by someone who didn't speak English. And then they gave her to a rescue family who immediately said, let's get rid of this dog. And we said, well, we'll take her. And they only live about a mile from us. And it's really been okay. We've been looking for a puppy. So yeah, we're happy.
Okay, I'm very happy to say that my oldest son, after 26 years at Bentley University in Boston, has not taken a position down at Florida State University. And so that's 4.5 hours away, they tell me. So I'm very excited because he's going to be closer, but I'm also very excited for him because it's a fabulous position. And he's worked hard for it. So.
My name's Lynn, and I have a joy, and that is my daughter and her husband and granddaughter all came to visit us last week. And it was utter chaos. 5 people and 3 dogs. But I had a wonderful time. Thank you.
I'm Steve, and mine's concern, Joy and I's grandson was at a party, and someone was on a trampoline and fell on his knee, and he had a broken patella. He's had to have some surgery, and he's now on crutches and a wheelchair, but he got to go to his prom. Everybody helped him, and we got to see him do his graduation on the crutches, and he got to have his dad give him the diploma. And he's getting better all the time.
I have a joy. My son and his wife, who are 40 years old, just announced that they're pregnant. So I'm really excited. This will be the first time grandma. And this year I also turned 75, so they waited a long time.
No, it's not low enough. Hi, I'm Jan, and Betsy, our sweet Betsy, has flown north. So while she's up in Nova Scotia, I get to be her speaker for Joys and Concerns and for the Care Committee. I have 2 people on my list. We have Yakwa Cohen. Her mother died, and they are in Florida. I do not have an address, but I assume she must be in the directory. Yakwa Cohen. Then we have Charlie Harrison, and the other Ann Harrison. Her husband Charlie just had surgery for colon cancer, but they are very optimistic that they got it all. They said that they did, and we hope so. He is recovering in Ohio, where they live. And if anyone would like to write to them, I have their address, because evidently their address was a little funky in the directory, and so it has been righted. I have it out on the table in the foyer, and with little slips of paper if you want to write down their address and send a note to Charlie Harrison. Okay, that's it. Oh, that isn't it. I'd like for y'all to say a little prayer for my husband, Jim. He isn't here today. He was not strong enough to come. But I hope he's recovering. Oh, he won't do his PT. He goes twice a week and does it there, but he will not do it at home, and I don't know how he's going to get stronger without doing that. So we just take it a day at a time, and I bug him when I can, and leave him alone when he's grumpy.
Hi, I'm the other Jan. I have a concern, and I would just like everyone's thoughts and love to be directed towards our daughter, who is no longer in Florida but is here in this area. She's going through a very difficult situation, and I am very much a believer in the power of shared thoughts being sent in a good direction. So just please direct your good thoughts towards our daughter Mari. Thank you.
And I have a joy as well. This Wednesday, I will be leaving to go to Canadota Lake, Pennsylvania. My family has a cottage up there, and I really thought I would never be able to celebrate another 4th of July with the family. So there will be about 20 of us, more than 20. My daughter's picking me up in Cleveland and driving me over. Another daughter is coming up. Unfortunately, my daughter in Kansas can't make it, but we will have a lot of family, a lot of fun, and it's something that I haven't done since 2012, so I'm really looking forward to it. And I will put that stone and 2 other stones in the cairn to remember the joys and concerns of everybody here who have kept them in your hearts. And now, if you'll please open your books, we will do the affirmation number 683. And this week I have my glasses so I can actually read it with you. Be ours a religion which, like sunshine, goes everywhere. Its temple, all space, its shrine, the good heart, its creed, all truth, its ritual, works of love, its profession of faith, divine and living.
On a cold evening in 2006, walking back to my car after leaving class at the College of Charleston, I found myself taking a right turn off King Street onto Ann Street. Then furtively, as if I were a fugitive seeking refuge, I ducked into Dudley's bar. This was not the first time I had entered a bar, a gay bar nonetheless. While visiting New York City a month prior, I'd had my first ever alcoholic beverage at a bar in Greenwich Village. But this was different. This wasn't a strange city. This was close to home. This was risky. At this point in my life, I was still very much closeted. Now, I decided to come out. In fact, I had set an official coming out date, but I hadn't come out yet. So when I entered the bar on this day, as I had a month earlier in Greenwich Village, I was sort of spying out the land. I sat down at the bar amidst a small happy hour crowd and ordered the same drink I had ordered in New York City. When the New York bartender asked me what I was having, I realized I had never ordered a drink before. So, drawing from what I had learned from watching countless reruns of Sex and the City, I ordered the only cocktail I could name. Cosmo, please. I was delighted to learn that a Cosmopolitan in Charleston was only 1/3 of the price I had paid in New York City. But being new to drinking, I sipped slowly and sat nervously, observing others in the room, but speaking to no one. After a short time that felt eternal, a tall, well-dressed older gentleman noticed my awkward isolation and introduced himself to me. "I'm Richard," he said, "but everyone calls me Donna." Donna introduced me to everyone in the room, and in no time I felt like Norm at Cheers, right at home. And over the next hour or two, Donna relayed to me the story of his name. Growing up in the Deep South in the late 60s and early 70s, Richard was always somewhat of an outcast. Though he tried his best to hide who he was always a naturally flamboyant character whose flair could not be confined within the walls of any closet. As a young adult, he learned just how dangerous it was to be himself. One day, as he was walking home, minding his own business, a group of young men began to heckle him with homophobic slurs. Then they attacked and brutally beat him. And so, because being his true self made him a target, and since he could not convincingly play the part of a stereotypical straight man, in order to blend in, Richard invented Donna. "If I couldn't be a straight man," he explained, "I figured I'd be a straight woman." Donna was able to go to bars and restaurants, go shopping, and even ride the city bus without fear of homophobic attacks. Although being perceived as a woman carried with it its own risk of violence, Richard felt safer as a straight woman than a gay man. Sitting at the bar with Richard, he dramatically told me the stories of Donna's many adventures and misadventures, how she became well known as a charming, flirtatious diva, but one who, to the dismay of many disappointed men, always chose to go home alone. But while Donna was becoming more and more popular, Richard lived in isolation. And finally, after several years, he decided it was time for the world to meet the man behind the facade. Richard found the courage to come out of the closet, and in doing so, put Donna, complete with hair, makeup, clothing, and jewelry, in the closet to remain there, except, of course, for Halloween and a few other social occasions calling for drag. She was fabulous, Richard told me, but I didn't need her anymore. Richard's, or Donna's, story, I believe, exemplifies the celebration we call Pride. A fabulous and entertaining story, but a story of survival nonetheless. Pride is not only about having the courage to be oneself, but also about acknowledging the struggle it took to get there. When we think of Pride today, we tend to think of celebration, dancing, glitter, lights, rainbow flags. 2 years ago, I flew to New York City to experience a big city Pride weekend. I followed a group of literal rainbow-colored people onto and off the subway. As I ascended the stairwell and emerged onto Christopher Street, I felt like Judy Garland's famous character as she awoke in the land of Oz. But I wasn't looking for a wizard at the end of a yellow brick road to send me back home. This place was amazing. The music, dancing, the garishly fabulous outfits and accessories, the diverse people from all over the country and world celebrating loudly and proudly. But if we could go back in time to June 28th, 1969, we would find the first Pride parade on Christopher Street was less a party and more a protest. Just 1 year earlier, police raided the Stonewall Inn, a popular gay club in Greenwich Village. This was by no means the first time this had occurred. Throughout the 60s and previous decades, police frequently raided gay establishments, which at a time when citizens could be arrested or lose their job for being openly gay, was the only place of refuge for the LGBTQ community to be open in public. No one really knows what was different about this particular raid. Some have suggested that the mistake the police made was to raid the bar on the night after Judy Garland's funeral. And you don't mess with the LGBTQ community when we have just laid one of our icons to rest. I know that if, God forbid, my queen and goddess, the great Diana Ross, were ever to be taken from this earth, I will be an inconsolable wreck in need of pastoral care. Nevertheless, regardless of the reason, on this night, the LGBTQ community in New York City had had enough. The police may have thought this was just another raid of another gay bar. What they did not realize is that with every raid, every arrest, every beating and humiliating search, something had been slowly building within the LGBTQ community. And that something is what we call pride. Pride is, first of all, protest. It is a determination to stand up for ourselves and stand against those who would oppress us. Pride that day swelled up within the patrons of Stonewall Bar who, rather than dispersing, resisted efforts to arrest them. Multiple accounts tell of one of those resistors, a lesbian woman who, as she was fighting attempts to place her into a squad car, cried out, "Why don't you guys do something?" And as that woman was hit over the head and forced into a van, pride swelled up as onlookers began to chant and throw bottles and bricks. Soon hundreds of people were standing up and fighting, leading to an uprising that continued for 5 days, galvanizing the LGBTQ community. 1 year later, that same spirit of pride was on display as marchers took to the streets, not as a celebration of the LGBTQ community, but as a demonstration that they were still willing to fight for full equality. Over the past half-century, pride events have evolved into festive and somewhat even Bacchic events. Pride is indeed a time of celebration, but let us remember we could not have the celebration without the struggle. In June of 2019, a group in Boston who called themselves Super Happy Fun America proved that they were none of those things when they announced that they were having a straight pride parade. John Hugo, a co-sponsor of the event, was quoted as saying, "Perhaps one day straights will be honored with inclusion, and the acronym will be LGBTQS. Until that time, we have no other choice but to host our own event." If only Mr. Hugo were present with us today. I would love to say to him that the reason your event was a massive failure, with more counter-protesters showing up than actual parade marchers or supporters, is because you missed the point entirely about what Pride is. When we celebrate Pride, we are not celebrating our sexual orientation or gender identity because we believe it is superior to yours. We are celebrating the progress we have made toward achieving equality. We are celebrating being able to say, "I am lesbian, I am gay, I am bisexual, I am transgender, I am queer," without fear of being harassed, attacked, or fired from our jobs. We are celebrating full legal recognition of our families and marriages. We are celebrating an indomitable spirit that has survived centuries of hate and oppression. When straight people overcome having to hide who they are, when they have to fight for the right to be employed, adopt children, or be married, when straight people are expelled from churches, disowned by family members, and subjected to senseless violence based on their sexual orientation, then you get to have a parade. Until then, you don't get to have the celebration until you've had the struggle. We celebrate Pride today, and we have a reason to celebrate. We went from not being allowed to serve in the military, to don't ask, don't tell, to finally being allowed to openly serve. We've achieved marriage equality. In 2020, the Supreme Court ruled that the 1964 Civil Rights Act protects LGBTQ workers from discrimination. More importantly, attitudes have changed across the country. A study conducted by the Pew Research Center in 1989 showed that 89% of parents said they would be sad if one of their children were gay. By 2015, that number had dropped to 39%. I went into a shopping mall not long ago, and as I entered a department store, I noticed the name of the store was in rainbow colors. As I stepped onto the escalator, a section of Pride merchandise caught my eye. T-shirts, hats, shoes, even a rainbow flag doormat, if for some reason you want to wipe your feet with a symbol of the movement you support. I realize the capitalistic exploitation of Pride can be problematic. And yes, I also realize that I am saying that while wearing a rainbow watch band, eyeglasses, and even rainbow socks. Nevertheless, I am glad to see stores with Pride displays, in part because I love seeing conservatives clutch their pearls and lose their minds because they see a rainbow-colored shirt at Walmart, but mostly because the fact that corporations are taking advantage of the market for Pride merchandise tells me that attitudes within our nation have shifted, that we are moving in the right direction. At one time, unabashed and outspoken bigotry was the norm. Then we evolved to passive-aggressive tolerance, although I never understood why anyone thought that was a positive or progressive stance. I tolerate slow internet at work. I tolerate slow traffic on holidays. We tolerate things we dislike but can't change. But somehow along the way, society evolved beyond tolerating our existence to a place of visibility and acceptance. A parade of pride began to march. People came out of their houses to watch. And now society has stepped away from the sidelines and started marching with us. But as members or allies of the LGBTQ community, let us not get so caught up in the parade for progress that we become complacent. We have come a long way, but we have not reached the promised land. Trans children have increasingly been the target of discriminatory legislation, banning them from using the restroom that aligns with their gender identity and banning them from competitive sports. Several states have passed laws that not only prohibit gender-affirming medical care for transgender youth, but that also depict their parents and doctors as child abusers. Our own Secretary of Education recently directed school boards across the state to disregard new Title IX regulations that offer protection and equality for gay and transgender students. Proponents of Florida's Don't Say Gay bill claim they are protecting elementary-age children from inappropriate lessons on gender identity and sexual orientation, but either fail to recognize or refuse to admit that by banning the mention of specific groups of people at any grade level, they stigmatize those people. The intent of this legislation was never to protect children, but to reverse the trend toward acceptance of LGBTQ people using the propaganda of the past. When the Supreme Court stripped women of their bodily autonomy just a few years ago, Justice Thomas made it clear that this was just the beginning of efforts to strip citizens of our rights. He was also clear that their next targets are protections for same-sex relationships and marriage equality. There is a concerted effort underway to undo the progress of the past few decades, to shift public opinion away from acceptance and toward discrimination and bigotry, and to enact laws that will once again make us second-class citizens. This Pride Month and every month, enjoy the parade, but as you march, know that you are marching with a purpose. Pride is about the acts of resistance that directly dismantle systems of oppression and liberate us and our loved ones. Pride is protest. Pride is experience. I must admit I didn't always understand what pride meant. When I first came out, I saw pride as merely an event, sadly one that we didn't have where I lived in Charleston at the time. So when I moved to Savannah, I was excited to learn of Savannah's yearly celebration of Pride, which for some reason they hold in October rather than June. On that October day, I left my apartment downtown and excitedly made my way to Forsyth Park, which used to be the epicenter of Savannah's Pride festivities. As I stopped at a crosswalk and waited for the walk sign, I noticed a family next to me who I could tell by their appearance were of the same faith tradition in which I was raised. And so I inquired about their faith. "Are you Pentecostal?" I asked. She responded that she and her family were indeed Pentecostal, and she was delighted when I told her that I had been raised in a Pentecostal church. "Who is your pastor?" she asked curiously. "I haven't been to a Pentecostal church in years," I told her, "but when I did, I was the pastor." Disappointment swept the delight from her face as she asked sadly, "Well, what happened?" "Right now I'm on my way to Pride," I said. "Does that answer your question?" As the walk sign came on, before I could step away, she grabbed a hold of my hand and said to me, "The Holy Ghost is still real, and he can change you." I responded with a polite thank you as we parted ways. And then as I continued toward the park, I experienced one of those moments in life. Those moments we all have sometimes, when everything you wish you would have said, the perfect response, comes to you after the situation has passed. I imagine myself holding this stranger's hand, staring into those judgmental eyes, saying, "The Holy Ghost can change me? Well, why didn't he? Why didn't he change me any one of the thousands of times that I begged him to change me, heal me, fix me? When I was a young teenager struggling with feelings of self-loathing and depression, why didn't he change me then? Or when I convinced myself as a young adult that marrying a good Christian girl would make me straight, why did he still not change me? Am I really to believe that the Holy Ghost was waiting not only until I had accepted who I was and begun to live honestly, but he was waiting for me to get 3 blocks away from my first gay pride, only to ruin my day by now making me straight? And even if that were the case, and all the prayers I had sent up to heaven from my adolescence to age 27 had somehow gotten lost in the heavenly mail, only to finally arrive at the throne of God on this day, if God is holding out the magic pill I wanted for so many years that would make me straight, even if that were the case, my answer is thank you. But it took a long time to get to know me, and now that I've met my true self, I like myself. I like my flaming gay self. So thanks, but no thanks. I don't need any change. That's what I would have said if only I had thought of it in time. But I began to realize that I did give the right response to that well-intended but terribly misguided Pentecostal woman that day. Thank you was the right response. Because in thinking about all the things I should have said to her, I processed everything I needed to say to myself. I experienced my first gay pride that day at Forsyth Park, but I realized I had been experiencing pride since the day I came out, even possibly before. Pride was not an event. Pride was coming to know myself. Pride was accepting myself. Pride is loving myself. Pride is an experience. In many Spanish-speaking countries, the word mariposa, or butterfly, is a slang term for a gay man. I've always found this fascinating. So I asked some native Spanish speakers if the term is just slang or is it a slur. I learned from them that although originally a pejorative expression, over time, mariposa has been reclaimed by many gay men in Spanish-speaking countries. So whether it is offensive or not largely depends on who is saying it and why it is said. While I want to be careful not to diminish the pain associated with this word to those who have been harmed by its and offended by its negative use, I must say, of all the homophobic slurs I have heard and been called throughout my life, I love this one. If I'm walking down the street and someone yells, "Hey, you butterfly," my response is, "Thank you." Butterflies are magnificent creatures. People pay money to go into butterfly enclosures. What other insect can that be said about? A room full of flies, disgusting. A room full of roaches, horrifying. A room full of bees, deadly. A room full of butterflies, heavenly. Mariposa may have been intended as an insult, but I say it is a fitting tribute, not only to gay men, but to all the LGBTQ community and our allies. Like butterflies, we once wrapped ourselves in layers of isolation we created to protect ourselves. And like butterflies, we outgrew our cocoon and broke forth from our shell, transformed into something that is not only beautiful, but something that beautifies this world. That sense of splendor and outlandishness and the influence it exerts that rose from the struggles of oppression, that is what we call pride. And like butterflies, there is no returning to our cocoon. Pride is a celebration of spreading our rainbow wings for all the world to see. Pride is saying for the world, we will never return to the days where we hid away in our cocoons. Our wings have unfurled. They are too vibrant and expansive to ever be hidden away again. In 2009, October 2009, I traveled with my partner at the time to Washington, D.C. to be part of the National Equality March. It was a powerful event with speeches by political leaders, activists, and celebrities Cynthia Nixon and Lady Gaga. But the most powerful part of the event for me occurred as the Washington, D.C. Gay Men's Chorus took the stage and began singing Age of Aquarius. When they got to the part of the song where the beat changes and they sing let the sunshine in, my then partner did something he had never done before, at least not in public. He reached over and held my hand. And as the march ended and we walked back to the metro station, he did so again. And from that point forward, for the rest of our relationship, whenever we walked together in public, whether in Washington, D.C. or Savannah, Georgia, we walked hand in hand. That may not be an earth-shattering milestone for equality, but for me, it was monumental. It was pride. In closing, I draw your attention to our opening hymn, Singing for Our Lives, by Holly Near. The song was written in the aftermath of the death of Harvey Milk, LGBTQ activist and the first openly gay elected official in California. When news of his death surfaced, Holly Near and a group of friends felt that they just had to get to San Francisco. As they drove, Holly began to make what her friends described as a primal sound, a guttural noise that then became a hum and eventually a song. When they arrived and began to march, they sang the song she had written on the drive. We are a gentle, angry people, and we are singing for our lives. They went on to sing, we are gay and lesbian people, many people saying those words for the first time out loud, and we are singing for our lives. Then, as allies began to come out, marching and singing alongside gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender people, the words of the song changed to, we are gay and straight together, and we are singing for our lives. There's an apparent contradiction within the words of the hymn. Singing connotes celebration, while the words for our lives connotes survival. But that contradiction perfectly epitomizes LGBTQ pride. We celebrate our survival, and we celebrate to survive. Our song and our struggle are interconnected. We are a gentle, angry people. We are gay and straight together, and we are singing for our lives. Amen, and may it be so.
passion like Madison season, racing on like a breaking of reason, with every night lost and every day torn, with the drama feeling calmer as the calmer in the storm. Speakers are crying like a forest in the rain. I was so alone with my thoughts and my pain, and the darkness closed like a month on a wild night. I'll never be free. Ooh, in this darkness, please light my way, light my way. Ooh, in this darkness, please light my way, light my way. I can't stand on my own anymore. I can't stand in the stain of the broken and poor. I can't break what I held that it never was true. In the mirror what I said was a lie to you. And me and everything I see and everything I could, I tried so hard to be good for myself, for you, for the hidden and divine, for everything. But I can feel just so many times. Ooh, in this darkness, please light my way, light my way. Ooh, in this darkness, please light my way, light my way. I can't stop when I feel like stopping at 5 a.m. Just cry, shoot, copping. A perfect life was enough for you, and never enough to see me through. For all my lies that were spoken in ways, and the way we lived is an affront to the days, was an affront to the things that we cared about, was an affront to everything that we cared about. Ooh, in this darkness, please light my way, light my way. Ooh, in this darkness, please light my way, light my way. Ooh, in this darkness, please light my way, light my way. Ooh, in this darkness, please light my way, light my way. Ooh, in this darkness, please light my way, light my way. Ooh, in this darkness, please light my way, light my way. Ooh, in this darkness, please light my way, light my way.
In closing today, we want to give thanks to all of those who make this service meaningful. John and our singers, whose music always delights. To David, who does the magic that keeps us seen and heard. The kitchen crew that lovingly feeds us. The greeters and the volunteers who usher us in and keep us safe. And to our wonderful nursery aides. And to our wonderful guests that we hope we'll see again. Most importantly, we give appreciation to you, Clint, for that valuable message that you brought to us. You've inspired us, you have educated us, you've delighted us, and we can't thank you enough for the way that you've helped us understand Pride. And I'm going to cry now. So we look forward to hearing even more from Clint if you join us for the talkback session. Today. I think Charlie wants his socks and I want his glasses, so we may barter for those things. But Clint, if you will, share some closing words with us.
May we carry with us the spirit of pride as we go forth from this gathering. Let us remember that our journey toward equality and acceptance is ongoing, and each step we take, each act of resistance, contributes to the progress we seek. May we be reminded that pride is not just about events or parades we attend, but about the experiences of self-discovery, acceptance, and love that shape our lives. As we depart from this space, may we hold on to the knowledge that we are not alone in our struggles or our celebrations. Together as a community, united in our diversity, may we continue to sing for our lives, and stand proud in who we are. Amen and blessed be.
Would you stand as you are willing and able as we extinguish the chalice? The words are in your order of service. While we extinguish this flame, we still carry in our hearts the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of commitment, until we are together again.
Because I have short hair. I'll have shorter hair.